this is a weird one, and you're going to say, "Well, Alan, join the Liars Club." But I'll tell you there, Tombstone, what happened. This is a number of years ago, and most, well, psychics or people with that kind of moniker, again, are phonies. But I have met a few in this world that are legit. And I was with this one woman. She's retired, and she lives out of the country at, Corcovado. And I was with her, and there was this place on old Route 66. Now, mind you, this is the old Route 66 of one lane going, one lane coming, blacktop. And there is still a lot of old Route 66 in New Mexico. This is the mother road that's, for those that don't know, that starts in Chicago and ends in Santa Monica,
Very,
Los Angeles,
very,
at the beach.
very popular with the bikers, that area.
Right. And so as we did Route 66 from 1967 to the last, remodeling of it, they ended on up from 67 to 1971, making it bypass a lot of small towns, and it became like the Autobahn. Well, some of the old areas of old Route 66 are what you call frontage roads, and others are just roads that you have a dirt path, a dirt road off of it that's going to lead to a farm or lead to a couple of houses, this kind of geography. And I was on this area of old Route 66, and this psychic, and she was damn good. She and her moniker was Boricua. She ended on up saying that there's something strange about this road here. And then a couple of years later, there was some murders in the area. In other words, she was getting, if it's possible to even get the vibes before they happen. And of course, that's another part of metaphysics we won't get into. But anyway, we went to this area to do investigation. Now, on this part of old Route 66, like I told you, it's just one lane coming, one lane going. This is, in essence, almost abandoned. You've got a few houses on this road with dirt paths that go on off. And so you're only going to get traffic there from, you won't get traffic there from 6:30 till maybe, 7:30, 6:30 at night to 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And during the daytime, I was only get a couple of vehicles. Well, this road, the way that it goes, it's going to curve to the right, and there's going to be a stand of trees. Now, I was there, and I wasn't convinced that this area had energy. But I trusted this person because I'd been on an investigation before where we had hit pay dirt again. So, again, this is ages ago when I had a pickup truck with the lights. You got the brights, the floods, and, all kinds of things. And we stopped the vehicle, and we get on out, and I got 2 flashlights on me, and we're going to start walking on up this road where it's going to bend to the right. And she says, there's something on up there in the stand of trees. And when she used to get locked on, it was kind of like she would not hear anything, and she'd be like in another world, and it'd be kind of like the way she'd be walking would be kind of like from a, what was the name of the Vampira type of walk from the late 50s, early 60s, the Vampira from the San Diego TV station there for Saturday night Monster Vision. So she's walking there, and I turn on the lights, and this is not the flashlights. Now, this is one of these nights where it's not a full moon, but because of how some of the cloud cover is, and because of how the moon is, it's not full moon, not even close, but with the starlight, we're able to see pretty darn good. Well, again, this is going to sound very, very odd, but this is what happened. One of the flashlights did not work. The other flashlight, that's really odd, the power wasn't working that well. And like I've told people before, this is like something out of a slasher movie. So I said, okay, let's go back to the truck. We're going to get 2 flashlights underneath the seat, and we'll come on right back. Now, she's only about, 40 yards, or her and I are only about 40 yards away from the pickup truck. And, of course, the pickup truck's parked on the side of this one lane going road. And she says, no. I'll stay right here. I want to concentrate. There's something on up there, Allan. And I said, okay. So 40 yards is nothing. Maybe it's 30 yards. So I go running back to the truck, and I do the flashlights, the two flashlights from underneath the seat there. They work fine. And I know what you're thinking. And I say, like, one of those slasher movies, hey, kids, I got a great idea. Let's split on up. That's when people always get taken on out. So I can see her perfectly. Okay, there's no way that she's lost in the dark. Okay, now I close the door on the driver's side, and to my left there's going to be this small field, this small pasture. That's the best way I can describe it. And I guess I've never told you this story before, have I, Tombstone?
No, and it really sounds eerie.
Okay, well, as I exit, as I close the door there, from that pasture, but real close to me, I hear the most beautiful ballad that I've ever heard in my life. And it's a baritone ballad, and of course I got the two flashlights. I turn them on. Who's that? Where's that? What's going on? There's nobody there. But the ballad is coming. You can hear it. Now,
what did it sound like? Can you? I hate to ask
you. It was
you.
like it was okay. It was basically like a cowboy ballad of this man singing about his last love, and very deep baritone voice. Now, here's what I saw in the forehead, in that screen that you've got above your eyes. I did not see this guy at all, but this is what flashed into my mind as I was in those nanoseconds, those milliseconds, of trying to comprehend what's going on. I see a young William Conrad, like 1946, 1948. William Conrad, for those that are listening who are youngsters, his last big claim to fame was he was in the early 1970s TV show called Cannon, but that's when he was already a much older man.
Well, but a lot of people don't realize he had such a great voice. And
right, he was
very
the original voice of the Lone Ranger on radio.
Oh yeah,
and he has this deep voice, and it ranks on up there with a classic voice like Orson Welles' voice, but his is even deeper and very rich. And that's what I see as this guy with black wavy hair, beefy, strong, not overweight, but beefy, strong, like what William Conrad would have looked like, kind of like what he looked like in that 1946 movie, what was it with Burt Lancaster called The Killers with Ava Gardner. That's what I got in my mind, of this guy playing this guitar with like a, not a houndstooth, but like a wool type of button shirt that would have like a checkered type of pattern, big checkers, playing, but nobody's there. And of course, I'm with the flashlights there, and I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be a hobo. Somebody's playing a trick on me.
Okay, but were you getting scared at that point? I'll be honest.
No,
I mean, hey, there's hardly anybody listening.
I'll tell you when I got scared. No, it takes a lot.
Maybe 80,000
to get me. So where I'm talking like David Niven in a high nasal voice. No, it's I wasn't. I was looking around there, and I'm trying to calculate and trying to think, what is going on? Where is this beautiful voice coming from? It's got to be a hobo. Now, mind you, there's some trees there, and I'm looking with the light, and there's nothing there. But this voice is coming from about, 3 yards away from me. It's a beautiful voice, and it is just so soothing, and it starts to retreat on off away from me into the pasture. So now I look on up towards my partner in crime. She's on up the road there. I haven't forgotten about her, but she's not staying still. I told her to stay put, but now she's in that, that she's locked on, and when she's locked on, she has this funny type of gait, and she is slowly going on up this road, up old Route 66, without me. Oh gosh! Now this is where I think. Okay,
it gets more in depth than that. Wow.
Yeah, this is where I'm thinking to myself, what's going to happen now? I mean, I'm thinking she shouldn't be going on up there. Come on back. I don't want to lose this voice here. I flash the flashlights to her. She's not looking my way. Even though I yell out at her, she's in another world, and she's walking on up towards that up Route 66, where it's going to take a right, where there's a stand of trees there on the corner. And I'm there, and this beautiful baritone voice starts to move away from me, and it's going on into that field, into that pasture, whatever you want to call it there. So I turn my flashlights back on, and I turn them back into the pasture, and I'm looking, where is this going? And now this voice is kind of like coming from like the length of a basketball hoop. In other words, it's 9 to 10 feet seems to be in the air, but it's directed at me. It's not face level, but it's moving away from me. So I take some steps towards into the pasture there, because I want to see where this voice is coming from. And again, I keep thinking to myself, this cannot be happening. I'm being put on. Where are the pranksters? There's got to be a hobo, but this does not make sense. Look how beautiful, how rich this is, and how compelling it is. So I take more steps, and I look up at her. She's down the old Route 66, and she's continuing to move on. And, of course, she doesn't hear me yell on out. And now I get to the point of where I get to, well, if I go any farther, where the trees are, I'm going to lose visual with her on the blacktop. In other words, if I go any farther, I'm in the pasture, and I'm not going to be able to see her.
Well, then maybe
who knows what's going.
Alan, maybe that's what they wanted you to do. You know,
well,
that's what I'm thinking.
That's going to be the punchline there at the end. Is so I am. It takes everything inside of me to not go farther and chase this retreating, beautiful baritone ballad that is retreating, that's going across, leaving me from this pasture. And I'm thinking to myself, if I go any farther, something's going to happen to the psychic, and I can't do that. You got to break away. You've got to be honorable. So it takes everything that I have, and I take a few steps back, and I go sprinting on up the blacktop. And, of course, she's way past 40 yards before I left her. And I go running on up to her, and she's locked on, and I grab her, and I said, "Didn't you hear me?" And, "Boricua, didn't you hear me?" And she said, What? There's something up in the trees up there, Alan. I said, "That's nothing. Didn't you hear what was going on back there?" "No." And I try to tell her briefly, what's going on. "Come with me." So I grab her hand, and we go running on back there, and we turn on the flashlights. There's nothing there. We jump into the pickup truck. I turn on all the lights. We just flood that area with light, and then we get on out. We start searching around. We're looking for footprints. We're looking for anything. We don't find it. We cannot. It's a mystery. Whatever it was had gone. And I explained to her numerous times what had happened. And she says, "Well, there was something on up in the trees." I said, "Yeah, but this is where the action was." So to try to shorten this story here is I go back during the day, morning, afternoon, mid-afternoon, 3 days straight, and I just searched that area. And I said, "There's got to be some tracks of some hobos. There's got to be something on over here that was tricking me." And of course, I find my tracks, I find her tracks, but there's nothing there. And then this is when I get scared, Tombstone. It hits me a couple of weeks later, and
I was hoping you'd get scared tonight on something where you go ahead.
Well, this one really gave me the chill up my spine, because as I was thinking there and I was thinking about what had happened, I thought to myself, you know what? That was trying to separate us. I got that. But it wasn't on after the psychic Boricua. It was after me. And what would have happened to me if I had kept on going into that pasture. Am I going to be one of those missing, one of the vanished that happens out in the Pecos Triangle? Was